Hey gang, JC here, and this is the Daily Dose for Wednesday, February 15th, 2012. A combined venture with Mind Active in beautiful downtown Clayton. We have great television archives. Top of the page, our eye candy feature below, and we archive all of that, so if you miss something on a given day, you can go back and look at it. And down in the corner, our rock and roll poll question, which yesterday apparently caused some confusion. Trish Gazelle, my partner, noon to 3 on the Big 550 KTRS every day, and Eric Mink, who joins us on Tuesdays, part of our carousel of co-hosts, didn't understand the question. Let's try it again. On balance, it's Valentine's Day. On balance, do you spend more time thinking about the loves you had or the loves you lost? And there was, as I said, great confusion about the question, and nothing was more reflective of that than the response, which was 51 to 49. The loves I had wins over the loves I lost. Let's just try to forget about this one, okay, and move on to today. We told you about this the other day. Roseanne, along with St. Louis's own John Goodman, are going to appear in a new NBC sitcom in the fall. It's called Downwardly Mobile. She plays the proprietor of a mobile home park. Now, her hit show on ABC ran from 88 to 97, but it's been out of production for the last 15 years. So our question is, because the show sounds awfully similar to her big successful hit show in the 80s and 90s. So obviously the question is, can she recapture the magic? You know, Roseanne has done a lot of damage to her career and her public image and stuff like that in those last 15 years. Actually started in the last couple of years she was still on the air with the show on ABC. So that's the question. Can she recapture the magic, yes or no? Please answer down in the corner, and we'll see what you guys think. We'll have results for you tomorrow. Donald Trump is not only a philanderer, guilty of multiple bankruptcies, a birther, and just has a lot of crappy TV appearances and TV shows. It turns out he's also really stupid. Okay, on Jimmy Fallon, they play a lot of game shows, and one of my favorite is Password. So they team up Jimmy Fallon last night with one of the Real Housewives, and then they put Donald Trump in with Dee Snider of Twisted Sister. And Donald Trump was losing at one point 20-0. He was so stupid that even when Dee Snider, the password was fired, and Dee Snider says, "You're," and Trump still didn't get it. It was just amazing how stupid this guy is. At one point, he tried to give 2 clues in a row, which is not how you play Password, by the way. And the only reason they got any points, in the very last question he got 2 points, is because he held up the answer to Dee Snider so he could see it. This guy is... More details coming out of the Whitney Houston thing, and some of these things you've probably heard, but, you know, more and more there are people sort of pointing a finger at Clive Davis right now, going, "Oh, so wait a minute now. Whitney Houston was supposedly practically your soulmate. You discovered her, you promoted her, you were her best friend, all this sort of stuff, and yet you went ahead with this party 4 floors directly below the room that Whitney Houston died in, and they didn't even take Whitney Houston's body out of there until after midnight, after the party had pretty much broken up. You know, you can tell people were really broken up about it the next night. But, you know, I mean, for example, when Darryl Kyle died in Chicago, the Cubs and the Cardinals in Major League Baseball didn't even play their scheduled game, and there were 35,000 people in the place waiting for a baseball game. They didn't even play that scheduled game, let alone have a party. That's the difference between at least having some class and having none. Beverly Hilton says the hotel room where she died is booked for the foreseeable future. Hey, honey, let's go spend $375 and go spend the night in the hotel room that Whitney Houston died in. Ooh, how romantic. Is that how messed up people are? I'm afraid the answer is yes. Chris Christie said yesterday the state flag in New Jersey is going to fly at half-staff the day of the funeral. Tommy Chong says Whitney would be alive today if she had stuck to pot. And Nancy Grace is suggesting that Whitney Houston was murdered. Is anybody surprised by any of this? It's almost mind-blowing to stop and think how all of this would have turned out. But Nicolas Cage said he could have been opposite Jim Carrey in Dumb and Dumber. Jeff Daniels, of course, ended up with the part. Nicholas and Jim hit it off when they starred together in Peggy Sue Got Married back in 1986. Nicolas Cage said, I got this movie called Leaving Las Vegas I want to do. He ended up winning the Oscar for it. Back to Valentine's Day. If your Valentine's Day didn't go very well and you're thinking about taking the coward's way out and having an affair, you're not the only one. The team behind AshleyMadison.com, that's the dating website for cheaters, says the day after Valentine's Day is one of their biggest sign-up days of the year. Now, you want to join the Mile High Club. It's a little risky, a little dangerous. You can get thrown off the plane, put on the no-fly list, end up, with a citation, all sorts of stuff. So there's a company out of Cincinnati called Flamingo Air, and they're the only company in the United States that offers free private flights specifically for sex. It ain't free, $425, and you get an hour-long flight where you just go back in the plane and get it on. 90% of the flights are booked by women. Words with friends. There's people hooking up. 10% of the people who play Words with Friends say they hooked up with somebody who's a direct result of the game. You got to watch your girlfriends, your husbands, your wives, your boyfriends, all sorts of stuff. 2 women in Hawaii are suing Petco because dog groomers there accidentally cut off their dog's body parts. It's sort of like that Three Stooges joke. Goes to the barber, he goes, "Did you have a pink bow in your hair?" He goes, "No." He says, "I think I just cut off your ear." One woman's dog came back with the tip of his tail missing. The other dog lost part of his ear, and one of the dog groomers tried to glue it back on so the owner wouldn't know. Good plan. Who's running Petco? Ralph Malph and Patsy Weber? Kim Kardashian and Reggie Bush are reportedly dating again. They didn't want to, but that's what the script says. Playmate of the Year, Claire Sinclair, who was assaulted by her boyfriend, Hugh Hefner's son, wants a public apology from him, but I'm just guessing she'll settle for a new car and a reality show. It was 248 years ago today, 1764, that this here city itself, St. Louis, was established by some guy named Pierre Leclerc. I didn't know Pierre Leclerc had a last name. It's Ligue, and if I spoke French, I would try to pronounce that, but I'm not going to. It was 248 years ago today. 12 years ago today, 2000, Fox aired the nightmare known as Who Wants to Marry a Millionaire? And what a lot of people don't know is that Darva Conger, the the lovely blonde selected by Rick Rockwell, who was a millionaire, but when they showed his house, he had a chain link fence around it. It happened 12 years ago today, but people don't know. She went to nursing school at SIUE and used to go to the Blues games all the time. And she did her Playboy spread. We had her on the air, and she talked about all the time she spent over at the old barn and the Scott Trade Center, everything like that. And it was 7 years ago today. It just seems like it's always been around. But it was only 7 years ago today that YouTube was launched here in the USA. All right, JC's Eye Candy today. She's rumored to be one of the next season contestants on Dancing with the Stars. And so we got a shot of her on the campaign trail last summer. Yes, it's Michelle Bachmann eating a corn dog just because. I have fun with that. All right, JC's rock and roll poll question again today. You got Roseanne coming back in the fall, along with John Goodman, in a show that's not exactly like the show that ran on ABC for, what was it, 12 years? 88 to 97, 11 years. So the question is, can Roseanne recapture that magic and have another really, really big hit situation comedy when she comes back on NBC in the fall with Downwardly Mobile? Please answer in the corner. We'll have results for you tomorrow, and that is it. JC's Daily Dose for Wednesday, February 15th, 2012, a combined venture with Mind Active in beautiful downtown Clayton. And in the meantime, we've beaten this one to death. Have a good one. See you later. Bye.